It was a few years back when I was hauling freight across long-haul routes that cut through the loneliest parts of the country. The kind of drives where you don't see another soul for hours, and even the radio abandons you. Just static hissing through the speakers while the wheels eat up the blacktop. I was younger then, hungry for miles, for the paychecks. Thought I didn't mind being alone. Thought wrong. That particular night, I was on a stretch of highway between two major administrative zones. I won't name where, but think of a place swallowed by wilderness. Endless trees, silent hills, no lights, no help, just shadows and road. Everyone in the industry knew it as a no man's land. No signal, no pit stops, and weather that could change like a mood swing. Most drivers tried to hit it during the day. I was scheduled for a 3 a.m. crossing. I remember how it felt. The kind of dark that doesn't just surround you, it presses against the windows. My headlights carved out a tunnel ahead, but beyond that, pitch, not even the moon was showing. All I could hear was the engine humming and the occasional hiss of the air brakes. The tire's dull rhythm was almost like a lullaby, dragging me towards sleep. I'd already been driving 10 hours straight with only a gas station stop 2 states back. The caffeine was dying in my veins. The dash glowed a faded green, like an old night light. Outside, it was as if the world had vanished. I slapped my cheeks, rolled the window down, tried music, nothing but static. Classic symptoms of road fatigue. I must have hit that weird twilight zone of wakefulness, somewhere between aware and dreaming. That's when it happened. Just a flicker, at the edge of my lights, near the roadside. Right shoulder. It was low, human-shaped, but small. A blur, then gone, swallowed by the void. I blinked. Heart didn't even skip. My brain told me it was a deer, or a roadside marker. Could have been a shadow, but I knew it didn't move like an animal. Stood too still, upright, silent. My rational mind kicked in, "You're exhausted, Ryder. Hallucinations are part of the job." I'd seen dancing trees and imagined voices before. Comes with the mileage. I took a sip from the lukewarm water bottle on the dash and tried to forget it. But the image clung, like a burr in my thoughts. A child. That's what it looked like. Small, still, watching. "No way," I muttered. "Out here? At this hour?" There wasn't a town for at least 80 miles. I forced myself to keep going. About 30 seconds later, something made me check the mirror. Habit. Just a glance at the passenger side mirror. I froze. The blood in my veins didn't chill, it stopped. There, in the dim red glow of the trailer lights, standing right where I saw that flicker, was the figure. Motionless. Watching. Alone. It wasn't a bush. Not a shadow. Not a trick of exhaustion. It was there. Someone was on the shoulder of that highway. Small. Upright. Human-like. My pulse slammed in my ears. My hands clenched the wheel so hard my knuckles whitened. Logic said drive. Don't stop. But another part of me whispered, what if it's a child? What if they're hurt? I hesitated. The glow of the figure was getting smaller in the mirror, swallowed again by night. My chest tightened. Then I did what every rulebook says not to do. I stopped, slammed the brakes. Air hissed like a snake under the cab. I flicked on the hazard lights. Their red flash sliced through the void like a heartbeat. Then I put the truck in reverse. Slowly, carefully, the trailer groaned behind me, mirrors dancing with shadows. The crunch of gravel under the tires was deafening in the silence. And after what felt like an eternity, the red tail lights swept across the shoulder again. There it was, still standing, still watching, a child. I brought the truck to a full stop so that the cab lined up with the figure 10, maybe 12 feet away. I flicked the high beams on, not just to see better, but so whatever or whoever it was could see that I was just a trucker. A man behind the wheel, not some phantom creeping through the dark. The figure was definitely a kid. Small frame, probably 6 or 7, judging by the height. Hard to tell exactly with the glare cutting across them. They were right at the edge of the gravel shoulder, where the highway bled into a dense curtain of pine trees. Tall, unmoving. The woods looked almost alive in the dark, pulsing with shadows. My headlights lit the first row of trunks, but beyond that, just black. The child wasn't facing me. They were drifting alongside the road, like they were out for a late-night walk, as if an 18-wheeler hadn't just rumbled to a halt beside them. No glance, no flinch, just walking, slowly, aimlessly, like a sleepwalker. They wore thin, pale pajamas barefoot on cold gravel. No jacket, no backpack, nothing. Everything about it screamed wrong. I shut off the engine. The silence slammed into me. Crickets rose from the ditches. Something shuffled in the woods. My heart pounded, not from fear, not yet, but from something heavier. That uncomfortable mix of dread and duty. I rolled the window down. Cold air rushed in, sharp and earthy. Pine. Wet soil. Something metallic. Faint. "Hey!" I called out. My voice was too loud in the quiet. "You okay, kid?" No answer. The kid just kept walking, one bare foot after the other. Head down. No urgency. No panic. Just movement. I couldn't see their face. Only the side of their jaw, faintly lit. I tried again. "Are you lost?" This time they paused. The small head turned just slightly, enough to reveal a pale cheekbone in my lights. But no words. No real reaction. Not even curiosity. It hit me in the chest, like a sudden drop in elevation. Something was off. This wasn't how lost kids acted. I'd seen panic before. Relief. Even terror. This was blank. Hollow. I forced a softer tone. "Hey there. You need help? Where are your parents?" The kids stopped walking. Their face turned just a little more. Still not fully looking at me. Just toward the front of the truck. Toward the beam of the headlights. And in that strange, gray spill of light, I saw something that didn't sit right. Their face, it was hard to focus on. As if the details refused to hold still. Pale. Smooth. Like a mannequin's. Eyes too shadowed to read. Then a sound. A whisper no louder than rustling paper. "Lost." Just that one word. Cold and quiet. I exhaled, my breath catching. It was something. A response. "All right, that's okay," I said gently. "We can work with lost. Can you tell me where you live?" The kid turned toward me now. All the way. But even with the light on them, their features still didn't make sense. I couldn't tell why. Maybe the angle, maybe my nerves, but their face stayed blurred in my vision. Yet I felt their gaze. Heavy. Deep. Wrong for someone that size. "Home," the child said. "Trying to get home." "Okay." I nodded, trying to stay calm. "Where's home? Is it near? Did you get separated from someone?" No answer. They took a step forward. I flinched, not from fear exactly, but from that old reflex. Like something too quiet had suddenly moved. The kid came a bit closer, just outside arm's reach now. Still in those pajamas. Still barefoot. Still blank. "It's cold," I said, voice trembling just a little. "I've got heat in the cab. You want to come inside? I'll call someone as soon as I get signal." My phone was useless here. Dead zone. And the CB was no better, just static when I tried earlier. But it felt right to say it. The kid stopped, 5 feet from the door. Then they spoke again. "Can you help me?" Something in their voice had changed. Not much, just a tremor, less robotic. More hopeful? Or was it something else? "Yes," I said carefully. "That's why I stopped." "What happened to you?" The child tilted their head to one side. A sharp motion, unnatural. "They're waiting. At home." "Your parents? Are they nearby?" I asked. "Where is home?" The kid's chin dipped toward the forest. Just a small nod. A gesture you'd miss if you weren't looking for it. "In there." The words hit me like a gut punch. "In the woods," I repeated. They nodded again. Slow this time. Deliberate. "Lost," they said once more. "Trying to find the path. It's dark." I swallowed, throat dry. I glanced toward the trees. The woods were thick. The kind of place that swallowed light and people with equal ease. No trails. No lights. No sounds but the hush of branches in a breeze that hadn't touched my skin. I was no stranger to strange things on the road. But this was different. "Can you come out?" the child asked. "Help me look?" "It's close. I can't see it from here." Every rational part of my brain screamed no. Get out of the truck? In the middle of the woods? In the dark? With this strange, barefoot kid who didn't seem to blink? Absolutely not. But then came the guilt. That quiet, nagging voice. What if it's real? What if they are just scared and hurt and lost? A tiny figure, cold and alone in the night, is scraped at the edges of my conscience. I don't think that's a good idea, kiddo, I said, forcing my voice to sound calm. It's not safe out there, for either of us. The best thing to do is for you to hop up here with me. We'll drive until I've got signal and call for help. Someone who can take you back home the right way. They didn't move, didn't even blink. It's right there, they said, voice suddenly more urgent. Just a little further. If you open your door, the light will help me see the path. Goosebumps crawled across my skin like 1,000 ants. The way they said it, coaxed it, wasn't right. It wasn't how kids talked. It was practiced, measured, like they were reading from a script. A trap disguised in a plea. I studied them harder, tried to peel back the fog that always seemed to hang around their face. My headlights should have revealed more, anything, but instead, it was like the light was being swallowed. Their eyes were still hidden, just deep, hungry hollows. I really think you should get inside, I said more firmly this time. It's warm, safe. I'll help you, but I'm not going into those woods. They moved closer, now just below the cab, 1 foot nearly on the step rail. Please, they whispered. My leg, it hurts. Can't go far. I just need help. Just to the edge. That was it. The conflict inside me reached a boiling point. Years on the road teach you things. The way fear can wear different masks. The way some things try to look human, but never quite pull it off. And how, sometimes, when your instincts scream, you don't question them, you run. But I was too tired, too foggy. I hesitated. So I looked again, past the kid into the darkness. I thought maybe I'd see a cabin light, a trailhead, something. But there was only black. And then I saw it. Not a shape. Not exactly. More like a flaw in the dark. A ripple. Something was connected to the child. It extended from their lower back, slipping out from under that thin pajama shirt and stretching backward, into the trees. My first thought was it was a strap. Cord. Maybe they were dragging something? But this wasn't that. This thing was unnatural. It wasn't fabric or rope. It was thick, organic, shadow-like. A black tendril that curved and pulsed slightly, as if it had its own slow heartbeat. It wasn't just lying there. It was attached to them, fused into their spine like an umbilical cord made from darkness itself. My breath caught. A pressure closed around my ribs. I felt frozen to my seat. The kid was still speaking. I could hear their words, but now they were just background noise. A low murmur of desperation. It's cold. Help me, please. But I was locked in on that thread. That dark, liquid strand stretching into the forest like it was tethered to something deeper. Something waiting. What is that? I croaked, finally finding my voice. My hand was trembling as I pointed. Behind you. What is that? The child stilled. They didn't look back. They didn't need to. I saw the tension rise in their shoulders. Their necks stiffened. The tilt of their heads straightened. What's what? They asked. Their voice was flatter now. The pleading was gone. That thing, I said louder this time. That thing coming out of your back. What is it? Still, they didn't look. But I could feel their stare, like ice pressed against my skin. It's nothing, they said calmly, coldly. You're just tired. They were using my own thoughts, my own doubts, that earlier voice in my head trying to explain the impossible. But I knew what I was seeing now. I wasn't hallucinating. No, I said more firmly. I see it. Don't lie to me. What is it? Silence fell like a curtain. Even the crickets had stopped. The air itself seemed to go still, as if the woods were holding their breath. And then, the child's face began to change. Not dramatically. No fangs. No screaming shift. It was subtler, more terrifying. The smoothness of their skin pulled tight. The shadows around the eyes grew darker, deeper. The blankness didn't fade, it sharpened. The impression of a mask, of something pretending to be human, was suddenly too clear to ignore. And for a brief second, something looked back at me. Not a child, not anything born of this earth, but something old, cold, and patient. So very patient. The air inside my cab turned heavy, not just cold, thick, like it was trying to settle into my lungs and stay there. Breathing was suddenly a conscious effort. "Just step out of the truck," the child said. Only it wasn't a child's voice anymore. The sound that came out of that small frame wasn't made for human ears. It was deep, echoing. It vibrated through the floorboards, through my ribs. It had a grinding texture, like granite cracking under pressure, like rusted gears gnashing in the dark. It was ancient, too large for the tiny chest it came from. "Come. Now." It wasn't a request. It was a command, one that expected to be obeyed. I gripped the gear stick like it was a lifeline. My other hand scrambled for the ignition key. I'd left it in like an idiot. What are you?" I whispered. I wasn't asking a child. I was speaking to the thing that wore its skin, to the horror tethered to the shadows by that dark, pulsing line. The kid thing tilted its head again, in that twitchy, insect-like way. Its blank, tight face twisted slightly. Annoyance? No, disgust. As if I were some frustrating bug that refused to crawl willingly into the trap. Then it spoke again, and what it said burned itself into the base of my brain, colder than ice, louder than thunder. "Why?" it rasped. "The fuck are humans smarter now?" My brain barely registered the meaning, but my body understood. Instinct screamed. Primal, pre-language fear lit every nerve. I didn't think. I turned the key. The diesel engine roared back to life like a shotgun blast in the night. The sudden sound split the silence open like a wound. The thing recoiled, its tiny form twitching backward like it had been slapped. But it didn't look afraid. No, it looked angrier. I slammed the truck into drive. My foot hit the pedal hard. The tires screamed against the gravel, slipping, biting, catching. The cab shook as the rig lurched forward, dragging 30,000 pounds of freight and one terrified man away from something that should not exist. I didn't look back. Couldn't. I focused on the dark road ahead, vision tunneling, hands like vices on the wheel. I half expected that thing, that cord, to lash out and grab the trailer, to drag me back, to reel me in. But nothing came. Just the thrum of the tires, the roar of the engine, and the sound of my own heart threatening to split my chest. Eventually, I risked a glance in the mirror. It was still there, standing at the edge of the highway, small and still, silhouetted against the dying red of my taillights. That horrible cord stretched out behind it, thick and unmoving, slinking back into the black roots of the forest like it had never left. And it didn't chase me, it just watched. Somehow that was worse. That thing, whatever it was, it waited. It wasn't panicked, wasn't angry enough to follow, just disappointed, patient, like it had all the time in the world, like it had done this before and would again. I drove like I was fleeing hell. I don't remember how long. An hour? Maybe more. I didn't care about speed, curves, road rules. I just needed to be gone. By the time the sky began to gray and the first bar of signal blinked on my phone, I was trembling. I found a turnout, yanked the truck over, and practically fell out of the cab onto the dirt. I collapsed to my knees and vomited until there was nothing left. Just dry heaving and sobbing and the crushing weight of knowing I had survived something I was never meant to see. The sun rose like a lie. Warmth touched my skin, but it didn't change anything. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a hallucination. No stress or fatigue could create that level of detail. That voice, that question. I never told anyone. How could I? What would I say? "Officer, I saw a kid with a shadow-tethered spine and a demon's voice ask me why humans aren't as gullible anymore?" Yeah, that would have gone well. I finished the delivery on autopilot, parked the rig, handed in my paperwork. Then I quit. I told dispatch I was done with overnights, done with remote routes, They offered me more money, different lanes, even vacation time. But they didn't understand, couldn't understand. Every time I tried to close my eyes, I saw it again. That silhouette, that chord, that voice. Now I work local runs, warehouses, daytime deliveries, city roads. I don't go near the wild stretches anymore. Not if I can help it. But sometimes, when the road's too quiet, when the sun sets behind the trees too quickly, I see it again, just at the edge of my headlights. A flicker, a shape, waiting. Why the fuck are humans smarter now? I hear it in my nightmares, and it terrifies me because it means they've been around a long time, feeding, tricking, thriving on our innocence. And now, they're adapting. So if you're driving one night and see a small figure by the road, barefoot, quiet, needing help, don't stop. Don't speak. Don't open your door. Because some things aren't what they seem. And being smarter now might be the only thing keeping you alive.